Welcome. This is the Fox Show right now. It's your boy with the host with the most, the Fox. I am dropping a link right now to Facebook for people to check out the show. Today we gonna talk about the situation with Jacob Blake. If I'm saying the name right, I hope I am. I know sometimes I'm terrible with names, like real terrible with names. I am, but I feel we need to shed some light on what's going on and see, really what's happening right now. It's going to, I'm going to keep an optimistic mind and everything like that, so people, when it comes to this, I want y'all to understand that it's pretty much from both sides. You're hearing about this. It's pretty much, it's going to take a toll on some of y'all, because some of us do have to learn how to, talk about situations without emotions, and we have to, look at the facts of what's going on as well. At the end of the day, it don't justify what's going on in this world. But at the same time, we do have to remember certain ways of life, come into effect as well too. So I'm gonna call my man Josh in a minute, finishing dropping these posts and everything like that. Just getting it out there. People want to check this out. And whatnot, so it's gonna be definitely a good show. Sorry about that. It's taking a minute because when you doing a live audio show, it's definitely a minute, yeah. But let's get it cracking though. I'm about to make the phone call now. Hello?
Hey, Mac, what's up, man?
What's up, Brody? How you doing, man?
Not too bad. How about you?
Pretty good, man. Trying to shed some light on, what's going on and whatnot. So I want to hear, definitely from your point of view. And I told your man's Donald, I believe that's his last name.
Yeah.
That he's gonna get on here too and whatnot. So yeah. But I'm gonna use your boy. So we gonna talk about it too and everything like that, and keep it professional. Don't, what I'm saying? We not gonna have nobody out here trying to cut everybody's head off or something like that. You know how people do.
No. I mean, yeah. It's an important conversation, but we don't need to have emotion involved, because once emotion involves, it's when it clouds people's judgment and what they say.
Right. That's the thing about it. You know what I'm saying? On the post, like I told you, you know me, I've never been the one to be straight off on emotion. And I told Derek that as well too. I'm the type to analyze what's going on. So I checked out the video that Derek, your brother, texted me in, and when you look at it from both sides of view, yeah, I asked him, the biggest question is, when it comes to the cops and dealing with, the fact he got a warrant, for sexual offender, domestic violence and all that type of stuff like that. Definitely he has a deep track record from what I'm seeing. A very deep track record. And the question is, how come two cops didn't detain him at the same time? How come you didn't have more than one cop, come out there? Like more than 2 or 3 cops come out there, and help detain him.
And the bigger question is what happened in the beginning? Where's the body cam footage to see what caused it to escalate to that point, or where the point where they didn't detain him?
Right.
So, and you also got to think, we're looking at, you got cops now that have to change tactics or do something different because of what happened with George Floyd. And now, who knows? They may have been told they can't do it this way or they can't do it that way now. Like, if they can't do a certain thing, now what do you do to detain them?
Right.
Because, I mean, we only got a glimpse of the video where the cop is kind of walking behind him with the gun drawn. But, okay, like, we're missing key information here.
Right. I mean,
so we can only go off what's reported, but like we have to come on, let's put two and two together. Like we start looking at, okay, what's start?
Right.
Like what's the beginning of the story? It's like reading through halfway through a book and not knowing what happened.
Right. And that's definitely the truth about it too. It definitely goes back and forth on it. Like what I try to understand, and ever since this whole COVID thing happened, and even before Black Lives Matter happened, I try to be more understanding. Ever since being stuck at home, and you got to do a lot of reading. You know what I'm saying now, because you got to find different ways to keep yourself entertained, focused. You know what I'm saying, so you don't go mad being in the house. So reading up on half this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Even getting insight from you, your boy, your brother, and some other people and whatnot. It's a lot that's going on from now that videos are starting to pop up now. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, I mean, you also look at it like look, for example, we had George Floyd and this whole thing blow up, right? But then we just 3 weeks ago get the body cam footage leaked out, so. There was some key things in those body cam footages that we could have had an understanding, like things could have been different. Like if the second cop that was on George Floyd, when he spoke out saying, "Hey, should we let this guy up?" Like there's a sign, hey, like this guy actually, like, he had that right mindset, like, hey, we should pick this dude up. Right. So like we're missing so much information, and then when riots just kick off the starter, like just watching what some people are saying. Some people are saying it's a vendetta. Some people are saying that let the investigation go. Yes, right. Let the investigation go to see where it goes, because there's so much missing information that, one, we don't know, and one, they're not going to report because they're not going to release that information out during an investigation.
Right. I mean, and here's the funny thing about it too that don't make a lot of sense when it comes to it. Like with the whole George Floyd thing, why did it take 3 weeks for, the body cam to be leaked? You know what I'm saying? And it's funny.
3 weeks. That was like 3 months after.
Yeah, my fault. 3 months after. My bad. It did take 3 months after. And I looked at it on YouTube, from, different people that saw the video as well too. And a lot of speculation came up from that video, because it's like with the whole George Floyd thing, he was on drugs. But now here's the kicker though. He should, he should not have had a knee on his neck at all. You know what I'm saying? I understand you gotta detain the suspect or the arrestee or however they say it. You know what I'm saying? As possible. I get that. But even then, when you protecting the servant, you still have to protect the wrong at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I understand that's the double-edged sword when it comes to doing, the whole uniform duty and everything like that. Even with us, you know what I'm saying, how we had to wear, our uniforms and whatnot. There was still no excessive force, what I'm saying, that went along with it.
Well, you got okay. So like that's a good point. Mm-hmm. But like, so listening to, for example, I listen to Joe Rogan all the time, and I listen to Joe Rogan and Jocko when they talked about this same situation with the whole George Floyd stuff.
Right.
Jocko made a very good point. Just like you and me being military, or McDonald being a law enforcement, the amount of training these guys get is bare minimum.
Right.
So you're going through an academy, you get your training, and then you go right out to the field. What training are you continuing? Because it's just like you in the Army or me in the Marine Corps. Mm-hmm. If you don't get enough training, how good are you at your job?
That's a good point. And you know what I'm saying? And
so
go ahead.
Yeah, because you're looking at you're a mortarman. I was a heavy equipment operator. If I wasn't maintaining TMCS or knew how to dispatch equipment out.
Right.
How effective am I at my job if it comes up? Same case scenario with being infantry. If I do not train certain scenarios and everything, how effective am I going to be when I get into that scenario?
That is true. You know what I'm saying? That's a very good point. And I feel, but at the same time, you know, they need to reform these cops, not take the budget away from these cops, because the thing about it is, and you know, I'm probably gonna get a lot of backlash from the black community on this one. Taking away the money from the cops is not going to solve anything. You know what I'm saying? And
so somebody, I'll cut you off real quick so you don't get that backlash. So somebody pointed out that, I forgot what town it was. It was in New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
They abolished their police force and then they revised it pretty much. They brought it back,
mm-hmm.
but literally it was like community-based officers, and the money got invested into the police force.
Okay.
So being invested into it, they're getting the proper training. The crime went down.
Mm-hmm.
Like apparently that town in Jersey was like one of the world-renowned for crime.
Right.
But that's the thing. They put money invested into it. They're not wasting the money. Like, I understand, like, get rid of these police unions in the cases of these scenarios and police reform. But we don't need to look at, okay, let's defund it. Well, if we defund it, these guys aren't getting enough training. Jocko pointed out he has guys come to his martial arts gym or to different training courses that he runs.
Mm-hmm.
These are cops spending their own money to continue their training.
Right. See, now, you
so
know,
it's just,
I mean, trust me, I get what you're saying and everything like that. And I understand and respect that, you know what I'm saying? See, invest the money straight forward into the police, you know what I'm saying, system, to where you reform these cops to understand that the training that y'all need to take upon is to help the community and, you know what I'm saying, bring crime down, not cause an uprising and make it even more chaotic to where people don't even trust the cops, you know what I'm saying, all the way. And then I got a comment on my homie right here, Sean. He said, they take money from the schools. How much teachers get paid? Teachers don't get paid a lot. You know what I'm saying?
And that's true. I mean, look at us as an example. Like, we don't get paid a lot either.
No, we don't. No, I know for a fact I didn't get paid. I didn't get paid that much. You had to be like an E5. You know what I'm saying, and up.
I mean, I'm an E5 married, and like, I mean, I go out to the field. I'm not getting overtime for being out in the field for an extended period of time. Like, I'm not getting overtime or anything like that. I'm not getting separation pay. I'm not getting anything extra.
Right.
So we're looking at, okay, yeah, teachers don't get paid a lot. Well, look at how the schools and where their funding goes. That's the thing. Like, where is the funding going? If it's not being invested into your teachers or into your programs in your schools, or you're wasting money in programs that are irrelevant in schools, it's the same as the police force. Where's the money going? What money are they investing into?
And you know what I'm saying? That's what I'm saying. He made another comment. Well, why not more training to be? I'm gonna need him to type it. Well, why not more training to be cops? Like, why aren't they trained better? Why are you afraid of blacks when you have 2 guns, a taser, and all types of weapons to defend yourself? That is true, and you know that's the thing I was trying to get at. And I talked to your brother on this on the post too. I said, you know, does it take, you know, 7 shots to a person's back for you to detain them? You know what I'm saying? Like, when we was taught in the Army, you make shots, you know, at people to stop them. The only time you know what I'm saying, use the right force is if, you know what I'm saying, it's truly necessary. You know what I'm saying? So,
well, it was more of your rules of engagement. You're trying to de-escalate a situation, just like just a normal situation. Say like a brawl at the barracks or something. Hey, let's de-escalate the situation, because if it gets any further, something bad is going to happen.
Right.
So that's why the missing piece is, hey, what happened to escalate?
That's the biggest question, because, you know, when we had to wait 3 months for, you know what I'm saying, just for the body cam of George Floyd to come out and we see what happened, you know what I'm saying, now a lot of people, they don't say much, you know what I'm saying, even the Black Lives Matter organization ain't really said much, you know what I'm saying, since that body cam came out.
Because if you look at that body cam, you look at when they approached Floyd in his car, he was already antsy. He was like super high motive going, like he was spitting out words right off the get-go, like as soon as the cop said something. I understand it. He might have been afraid, but he was antsy already. So that's going to make anybody nervous, because like if somebody's antsy, like just me sitting in a store and I see somebody antsy, I'm going to, hey, if I'm carrying, like, hey, I'm going to make sure, like, let's not escalate this, but like, I need to keep an eye on you.
We got another comment. I feel like personally a lot of cops was lame in school, bullied, etc. So when they get that badge and gun, they feel big. Half of these cops not from our neighborhoods, and they don't understand our people. That is
so
very true.
So that's true. Like
That's true.
I totally agree with that. But then you look at the sense of Jocko made the comment as well. Who's going to be a cop now?
That's true.
Those losers that didn't do a whole lot think they get a badge and a gun, and now they have like it's just the military. You have those losers that get into the military, get a slap of sergeant on to their rank or a higher rank, and guess what? They feel like they're entitled to so much power.
That is true. And you know the thing about it, man, like from seeing that and how people act, it definitely goes to show you that when you get a sense of power, people change. And I witnessed that myself in the military. You know what I'm saying? People get a sense of power, they truly change, and then, you know, it goes a long way. And you know what I'm saying? You see the true colors of a person. Like a person said, it's not the fact that the person got rich, it's the fact the money brought out who they truly was. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, so
go ahead.
So like I mean, but like if you're talking about people of like low character, self-esteem, these losers or these guys that were bullied and everything like that, who bullies them at first? Who's going to make these losers become a cop, and then now they have this power because they're what was growing up through their mind was they were bullied all the time. So yes, you might not have these cops that come from these communities. Who in this community is going to go be a cop? Who's going to better that community?
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Now when we listen to that, that's true, because now being a cop, yeah, you have the most biggest target on your back, you know what I'm saying, no matter what. You know what I'm saying? You have the biggest target on your back because of everything that's going on. Now, here's the thing about it, though. When you a cop and you do become a cop, or you choose to become a cop, whoever chooses to become a cop, when you see this act of violence going on, and let's take I believe the young man name was Aubrey Johnson, the one that got shot by two local Caucasian males, and they thought he was a threat because he was running. You take that situation, it's basically like the same thing as the Trayvon Martin case. A lot of these cases that have, you know, young black brothers, you know what I'm saying, sent to the morgue, you know what I'm saying, in a wrongful manner. Not saying all of them are doing good, but not all of them are doing bad. But the suspicions of a weapon being brought against them off the back, you know what I'm saying, it already raises suspicion just because of the color of their skin, and then you see the other color of a Caucasian male pointing a barrel of a gun down at him. You know what I'm saying? I get it. When you doing the whole force thing, having your weapon out is a sign of, okay, I mean serious business. Just lay down. I'm not trying to shoot you. You know what I'm saying? But at the same time, why is the hand on the gun so quick to come up even now with traffic violations? You know what I'm saying? Why is an officer coming up to the car very quickly and his hand is already holstered on the weapon before I can even get my license or registration out to ask the officer, what did I do?
And that's true. So, and that's why, like, when I went to, so your homegirl, whatever her name was, that tagged me in the whole, when you tagged me into that video of whatever country it was in,
right,
where the guy was walking around with a knife, obviously it looked like there was something going on with his head.
Right.
But, so, like, I'll give you a quick story. So when me and my wife went to our honeymoon in Ireland, the tour guide I had, I picked his brain. I picked his brain with politics. I picked his brain with the culture of Ireland, the business perspective, police force. So when I noticed there was not many police officers other than in cities, I asked him, like, what about the police force here? So he said that you'll only see them in the cities because that's where you'll get the minor crimes and everything like that.
Right.
But when it came to, we went through the highway and there was a traffic stop. It was like 13 cop cars. They were inspecting everybody's car for launderers. And there was a group of cops on the left-hand side off the highway holding firearms. The cops that were inspecting us, no firearms, baton, I think, and a pepper spray. But the guys on the side were holding MP7s, freaking AR-15s. And I asked them, I was like, so why are those guys holding firearms and the other ones aren't? So he said those are the kill cops. So if you escalate a situation with the police force, they call them in. no surrender, no nothing, no hands on your head. Like, you're not surrendering. They're going to kill you.
Wow.
So you will get a warning that they will call them in. And if you keep escalating it, they will de-escalate it by calling them in. So, yes, I wouldn't recommend that being in the police force here, but it was just a sense of, oh, crap, so if I escalate this anymore, I will be killed.
I mean, I understand that, and I see, you know what I'm saying, from that, we got some people saying, damn, to what you just said, because that's crazy as hell. Cause
that's crazy, but like when your homegirl tagged me in it and saying, oh, well, why did this guy get shot, and you tagged me in that? Well, let's ask the questions. All right, what's their training like? What's the culture like? Because we're talking about what country are we in? Because in Ireland, everybody was nice to us. Like, it didn't matter if we were a foreigner or not. People were genuine and like considerate of each other.
Right.
That's not the case here in America. A lot of times we can care less about each other.
And you know, the thing about it is, it's like, it's so tough to see what cop is really good now, because as a black man in America, the quickest thing that we're doing now is we batting eyes straight at you to see, you know what I'm saying, if you are, you know, going to take my life this day. You know what I'm saying? Even you know what I'm saying, even at the age I'm at now, my mother and my father, you know, they educate me still to make sure that, you know, that I'm not doing nothing to end up with a toe tag on my foot. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like J. Cole said, what's the price of a black man's life? You know what I'm saying? Priceless, honestly, because if it's so easy for some of these cops, and I'm gonna say some of these cops, because I'm not saying all blue lives matter, that bull crap like that. I'm real, that's some bullshit. Because when you sign up to be a cop and everything like that, you take on the line of duty, just like when you sign up for the military.
And that's cool. No, that's why I don't follow any of these. That's why I really don't follow any of these movements, like Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter. Like, any of these lives matters, because I mean, in reality, look at us in the military. Like, only when it comes to just like how the black community gets used by a certain political party or anything like that, it's the same as us.
Right.
When people are like, "Oh, well, about the veterans," are like, "Okay, honestly, how much do you actually care?"
We honestly don't care.
we honestly don't care. So then when, like, I look at Black Lives Matter, I was like, okay, I understand where the movement's going, but I don't need to follow a movement to respect you or anybody else. Like, I mean, I'm never giving you beef because you're like, I don't sit there and talk about, like, if I talk about somebody to my wife, I don't say, hey, Malachi wants to talk to me on this podcast. Yeah, I don't say, hey, my black friend Malachi. Like, once we start throwing colors in there, now we're already segregating ourselves.
Right. And, you know,
we've mentally created that tribalism amongst ourselves. Now we're continuing the trend of, oh, black people steal, black people are horrible. Okay, cops are horrible. We can't trust cops. Like, we're just going to keep the trend going.
And, you know, here's the thing, you know what I'm saying? Here's the thing that's definitely going around, and it's been going around since I want to say the late 80s, going into the early 90s, when NWA, you know what I'm saying, brought out more when it came to the whole you know what I'm saying, the whole Compton and street LA riots and all that type of stuff like that. And they was talking about, you know what I'm saying, how you know what I'm saying, how the cops label us as thugs and whatnot. And here's the thing about it, we still get labeled as today by certain people. You know what I'm saying? We still get labeled as, you know what I'm saying, the thugs and whatnot, or, you know, we gangsters, or, you know, we ain't got no home training or whatnot. You know what I'm saying? And we got another comment. The more you times we call all cops terrible, everyone is against them. And then the cops are already on high alert because they feel the next person they talk to could shoot back. That is true. Everybody's on high alert. That's the thing about it. The media put everybody on high alert. And the thing about it is, now we're more. Hold on, I'm gonna get you in a second. We're more, to me, I feel like we more divided now as ever. You know what I'm saying?
Totally agree.
Because just the fact of how everything going, and I'm gonna still say it is justice for Breonna Taylor. She definitely needs still justice, even if the warrant was there, but the house was wrong. She should have not had died that night.
No, so
you know
so it's like what's his name in Texas was shot in his apartment. I guess like she was a detective or whatever that got charged with it. Mm-hmm. Like even not even just reading the report and just let's put two and two together. Like, you're a cop, and she, even when it talked about her, she knew everybody in that apartment complex. Like, an officer is going to know their surroundings, just like me knowing my surroundings. I'm looking at my neighbors and what they're into and everything. So she knew who he was. She knew where he lived. So when she got charged, yes, like obviously she knew who the guy was. She was not in the mistake in the wrong apartment. There's no way. So when it comes to Breonna Taylor and then the one guy that got killed late at night, right off the get-go, the guy went to his knees, dropped his gun, and the officer immediately shot the dude in the back. So it's like, it's right off the impulse. It goes back to that training. All right, what scenario are we going through? So just like when you point out the cops don't know these communities and everything, well, a lot of these cops either, one, don't come from these communities, or they're being put into these communities to try serving it. But somebody pointing out, like 30% of cops live in the communities or wherever, or like a lot of the cops live outside the city. Well, I don't blame them, because when I watched the documentary about the Floyd police officers in Michigan, when they were talking about restructuring, and the new police chief came in and wanted to do all this kind of stuff, a guy that was a brand new cop, after doing his job for so long, his wife and his brand new kid had to move out of town because he was getting targets put on. Like his family was being targeted. So it's like, okay, you can be mad at one thing, but when you have a community target you, like there's only so much you can do. You have to protect your own.
Right. And see, you know, here's the thing to me, like, no-knock warrants are terrible. Change the law so it doesn't happen again. That is true. And, you know, I feel the need when it comes to no-knock warrants. I get it. When you going for somebody that's, you know what I'm saying, that has a warrant out for their arrest, I want y'all to understand that they need to change it to where you need to make sure you're double-checking to make sure it's the right place. You know what I'm saying? The paperwork and everything like that needs to be made sure it's spot on to where we don't have another incident where another woman's life is taken like that. That young lady's life should not have been taken, even if the midst of the cops not doing anything wrong, but they shouldn't have busted up in her house and shot her just because they felt they was being threatened. If the boyfriend felt somebody was breaking in the house, what is a natural instinct, even as a husband, as you, if somebody broke into your house, what's your natural instinct to do?
Grab my gun.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? So what it is I feel the no-knock warrant should be definitely reanalyzed and revisit and definitely readjusted to where we avoid this situation again. I got another comment for you. Wouldn't say a community target you, just that gang or group of people.
It doesn't matter. Like even as me being in the military, I have a target on my back.
Right.
Like I go out and somebody sees like a military fade or something in a military town, like I'm targeted. I'm in El Paso, Texas. Like the cartel is literally across the street from me. Yeah,
you definitely are.
So like you're always painted, even if you're a cop, it don't matter. Like you probably have like I've got a buddy that's a cop. He had to change his name and everything. He's a black cop, but he had to change his name on his Facebook profile. He had to change his profile picture and everything like that because he didn't want to be targeted.
Right. And
so
you know,
it's like you've done OPSEC and I've done OPSEC. Like you always have a target on your back, no matter what position or what profession you're in.
And you know, I feel like it's funny. It's kind of like now. My boy's stupid. My boy's stupid. I told him to share on the live podcast on his page. He said, "Don't tell me what to do." I hate him. Anyway, but yeah, we you know what I'm saying, it's a target, but you know, now even in America it's even a bigger target for black men now. And it's like it's a bigger target for white cops now, Caucasian cops. I'm gonna be professional. Black cops. I mean, not black. Yeah, even black cops.
You're being politically correct. Not.
Yeah. So black cops, even Caucasian cops, and the thing about it is too, people understand the term African American. It's not really us. It's not. It was made by a term of people that was enslaved. You know what I'm saying? Our ancestors that was enslaved and we was brought to America. That's where the term would come from. Do your research on that. And also too, Josh, I meant to get to you on this too because I did some research on this. So when we
slavery.
Yeah, so when we and this definitely ties into all this as well too. When you when you look at what happened back in the day, and people are quick to argue, well, what about your people? They sold y'all to us. You know what I'm saying? They sold y'all to the Europeans. Let me correct y'all on this, and I thank my cousin for informing me on this as well as my homeboy that did the same thing too. And I did my own research this morning on it as well. When you look at the background and the history back in 1965 in Western Africa, it was a royal rival tribe that sold us out of anger and, you know what I'm saying, out of anger and spite, because it was a rival tribe. And this was, like I said, one of the biggest West African, biggest slave ports. I'm terrible at names. Oda.
Good luck.
How you say that?
No, I mean, I get you, like, in that topic, like, so I don't really argue that. It's more of, I look into, let's look into the mindset of back in those days, right?
Uh-huh.
So what's the price of a human person, right? Like, do you really think, oh, like, if I'm high class, I'm going to own a slave? Like,
Right.
It didn't matter what generation, what culture you looked at. Like, you can look past the American culture. Slavery was a thing.
Right.
So I'm not discrediting like what happened during the slavery and everything. That's why I like did my research when people were like going after my boy George Washington. It was like, okay, yeah, he owned slaves, but at the time of his death, he freed all of the slaves he was able to free.
Right.
And then the family that owned the rest of the slaves 10 years later freed the rest of them. And that was over 300 slaves.
Right.
So they did a good deed at the end of it. I will give them that.
Right.
Yes, he did own slaves, but we're looking at a generation of a lifestyle that was a thing throughout centuries.
Right, because even ladies and gentlemen that's listening to this podcast today, I'm your host with the most, the Fox, and this is Crown the Fox. I'm representing with the Fox Production. I'm also sponsored by Banana Man Clothing Line. That's bananaman.com/the Fox. Check out and support my clothing line whenever you get a chance to. But when you're looking at the issue with a lot of people that don't understand what happened during the time of slavery or when it happened during that time, even now to this day is progressing forward. It's so much animosity that's still within the Western Africa between these two tribes due to the fact of the history behind them. And they said in the article, even in the articles, that people have tried to apologize as well too, over and over again. And they said even during the times of certain president elections that they had over there, they even pointed out some of the people that were still part of the royal family that sold their people, you know what I'm saying, out of spite for weapons and all that type of stuff like that. So understand this, people, it was a lot more that went on during those times. So when we talk about the 400 years of oppression, and I know we shouldn't continue to hold history over certain people's heads, especially for the ones that have apologized for their ancestors, you know what I'm saying? But understand that everything dates back so much from a criminal that was Christopher Columbus, who was a criminal who was exiled from over in New England to come over here. That's why he found a new land, took out the Native Americans out of, you know what I'm saying, out of a whole entire war. And then we look at how...
I mean, they didn't really have to do a war to take them out. Smallpox took out most of them.
Yeah, they didn't have to, but at the same time, what was the purpose of it? You know what I'm saying? It was more of like being selfish and whatnot. And now then you look into the fact of when you get the slaves and you doing all this and it goes into the Civil War and all that, Revolutionary War, all that type of stuff like that. And it comes back to here it is today. Why is it still that so much anger is still brought into the world from the outside background? You know what I'm saying? Like, just like we talked about the other day, in order for us to fix all this, you know what I'm saying, we have to come together and fix it together. But it's hard to, when stuff like this continues to keep popping up, you know what I'm saying? And we have to ask ourselves, even as a black community, we have to ask ourselves, how much, I mean, not how much, how many more brothers or young kings, sisters, or even kids have their lives being taken for us to understand that we should not be doing this no more. You know what I'm saying? And even you brought it up to me too, and I'm glad that you did. You know what I'm saying? These young children that's being killed out here these days. And I read up on these articles and I'm like, what is going on? You know what I'm saying?
So like, and that's the thing though, is like, instead of us sitting there looking like the black community looking for reparation for the slavery and everything like that. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like I got what you're trying to go for here. I understand. Like
right.
You might have came from an ancestry that came from slaves and everything. It
right.
didn't happen. Some people say it wasn't too long ago. I still see almost 200 years being a pretty damn long time.
Right.
But we need to learn from it. Just like the people that we have that lived during the civil rights. You need to learn from them. Learn from what they experienced. And like, there's some people that are saying, man, people have it better than they had back then. So learn from history. Like, I don't know, like I enjoyed seeing that so many people are getting involved in the history, because when you look back in the past, hey, the past is the past, but we can learn from it. Because I had somebody tell me about the Constitution wasn't for black people.
Right.
I was like, you might be right, and I'm not going to disagree with you on that. But if we look at the Constitution right now, and you read me every article and every phrase in each article, where does it say that? So because yes, it might have not been for y'all, but it's a document that you can run off of, just like any rule. If I told you you can't do this, okay, that is a rule for everybody. That's not a rule just for a certain color. There was no color in that document. So once we start going, because if we tear down our foundation, then what do we have? Where are we going to build off of? Because people are going to throw their little pieces into it, and somebody's still going to get screwed in the end.
That's very true. You know what I'm saying? I feel that at the end of the day, even when people are trying to do the right thing, even as cops, I feel like they won't get they'll still come up with the short end of the stick due to the fact of what's all going on. And even like if you have McDonald on here, like McDonald will tell you he tried to do the right thing. He tried to do what a cop should be doing. Right. And yet he was the one being thrown under the bus, literally exposed, and people wanted to screw him over. And then when he explained to me, and I listened to a 911 or the intercom for the cops and everything for a call, where he explained to me when he saw the body cam footage of his buddy being killed, because literally that police chief and the rest of the cops pretty much left him to die. Right. So there is a corrupt system, and there's a corrupt people in those systems. It don't matter what color you are, you can still be corrupt. Because we look at let's look at George Floyd. Like I use that as an example. George Floyd's police chief. He might be black, but guess what? What did he do to take responsibility for his police officers? Did he resign? Did he take down? No, we had to abolish the whole police force. And then the mayor didn't want to stand with Black Lives Matter. He didn't want to abolish the police at the time. Right.
But did he take responsibility for those police officers' actions?
No.
So nobody is taking responsibility for their actions. So when it comes to a police shooting or somebody shooting somebody else, who is taking responsibility for those actions?
Right.
Nobody.
And I feel the need, what I'm saying, when it comes to taking responsibility of these actions for these cops that's taking these lives, the question is, when it comes to their decision making, is it like I told on the status too, is decision making made off of protecting everybody, or solely off of protecting yourself because you feel that your life is the one that's in danger? Do you feel that everybody's life is in danger, or do you feel that it's just your life in danger? So you feel the need to pull the trigger multiple times.
And so, an example would be for us in military. When you look at military KIA, most of them are MTFs. Mm-hmm. Most of those guys give their lives for their troops. I do the same thing as an MTO. I take care of my guys. I will literally sacrifice my time with my wife to take care of my guys.
Right.
So as an officer, I would do the same thing. I would literally spend that time with that community to build that trust, build that relationship. Is the community doing the same with those cops? To reach out to those cops in their local areas. Hey, you should come over for a cookout. Where's the relationship built? If I get thrown into a community, from my experience, yes, I'm going to try reaching out to the community. Is the community going to reach out to me? It's a two-way street. How are we going to build that relationship with cops?
Right. And I feel the need now that to come together, we definitely have to build a relationship and a sense of trust in order for us to be able to protect everybody. You know what I'm saying? The one thing that I say when it comes to the hood, there is a lot of trust and protection that's out there, but at the same time, it's a lot of shadiness. And I believe that, with the whole, and like I said, I might get some more backlash from this when it comes to the whole black community as well too. When it comes to these crimes that are made on black, I hate to say it, y'all can't sit there and say it justified that there's no black on black, because the crime is dictated of what's going on. And if you look at it, if it's a black person shooting another black person, what is that? I hate to say it. If y'all want to give me backlash on that, go ahead. But
like, I don't like the bringing the black on black crime, but like when I saw like the articles about those kids on 4th of July in Chicago, I'm just like at what point do you take a step back, excuse me, take a step back and like look at, okay, what if that was my kid?
Right.
Like it don't matter about the color of the skin, but it's the violence in Chicago.
Amen.
And like being in Southside and seeing like my buddy's family's house and everything like that. Yeah, I knew guys were strapped. I knew guys probably did drugs and shit like that. But like, yeah, I was a little timid. I was like, I'm a white dude in Southside. I shouldn't be here, but I mean, hey, I'm here. Like, I'm gonna make the best of it. They cooked some pretty good food, and I had a good time. Like, I got to experience like their lifestyle, so I had a little bit of understanding of that. But like, at what point do we sit there? Because we're gonna go back and forth with this whole white, black, color. Like, everybody's gonna throw the color in there. Well, let's take a step back and reevaluate. Okay, what if that was my kid? What if that was my buddy's kid? Like, the gun violence is an issue in that area. Like, it's always been an issue, but people are like, well, you can't. Yeah, it's a huge issue, but people are like, well, you can't bring that up. Yes, I can, because it's still going.
Exactly.
Like, when I see a photo of those kids and everything, I'm thinking of my neighbor's kids that are black as well. I'm thinking of them. I'm like, damn, like, what if that was like my buddy's kid?
Right, because even I got some young boys that's out there that's kind of close to Southside. I'm not really too familiar with Chicago. I know I've been there for 2 years, but I'm still not familiar with it like that myself. But even when I step, I used to step into Southside to go get my hair cut. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't too much of like badness going on. You see how the hoods are. You know what I'm saying? My homies told me which areas to stay away from and everything like that. But at the same time, I didn't really see too many bad stuff going on when I was down there. You know what I'm saying? I guess it was a different scene when you down there versus how the media portrays everything. But then you see how the numbers kind of speculate over and over again. So, like you said, you know what I'm saying, you enjoyed yourself. And I enjoyed myself too when I went down there sometime. Even on the west side I went to. Even living on the east side of Buffalo, New York, and it's like western New York side. Buffalo is number one in the whole dangerous city. Even living in Baltimore, when I lived in Baltimore is crazy as hell as well too. But I never seen that. I guess because I was just so accommodated with a lot of people, and I knew about a lot of areas. Even when I was in Raleigh, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You didn't really see too much. Even Zebulon, like I didn't see too many trouble there like that. You know what I'm saying? I didn't see too much trouble. I feel like now it's just the media portraying a lot, but at the same time there is a lot that's still going on that we just don't see, and our people that we know aren't going through it. You know what I'm saying? Which is good, and we don't want nobody that we know lying dead in the street in a puddle of their own blood. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
One of the comments said it's white on. We got 3 comments I'm reading to you. It's white on white. I just read a statistic that said white on white crimes, 85% of them kill one another, but we never have white on white. Another one is, and Chicago's different. We can keep it 100. The U.S. is dropping USA weapons in Chicago, bro. I just moved back from there, and I've seen AKs with USA stamps and shit, bro. Another comment is... Hold on. Another comment is it's still part of Chicago. It's still part of Chicago, so I'm gonna let you answer that.
Okay.
It's just different up there. It's on the black community too, because Chicago is stuck in a cycle. You take my brother, I'm taking 2 of yours, which is true. And that's honestly not just Chicago, that's everywhere. You know what I'm saying? That's the thing about it. A lot of crimes that's happening in the black community is I'm taking you because you took mine. You know what I'm saying? They going out there for revenge. Like, that's the reasons they going out there for revenge.
And that's why the endless cycle of violence will never end.
Right.
Until somebody breaks that chain of repeating ourselves. Like, that's learning from history. Like, I mean, if we keep doing what we're doing, it's just going to keep happening.
Right.
So, like, with the whole Chicago and the guns being sent, like, U.S., like, you got to think, all right, so, like, when you hear a gun buyback, right, a politician brings that up. All right, the government buys your guns back. What are they doing with those guns? They're not holding on to it. What are they going to do? So, like, for, like, example, recently Mexico is asking for answers on the whole Grand Theft Auto that Obama administration was running, where they were taking guns, the buybacks, and they were actually sending them overseas or over to Mexico to try to capture these cartels.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you didn't notice, like when El Chapo's son was captured and the Mexican military was pretty much fighting the cartel when they had fully automatic weapons, Barrett 50 cals, like they have American weapons. That's how they got them.
Right.
So when it comes to like, hey, trying to find some crime or whatever, like some crime lord saying like in Chicago, they're going to drop the guns or who's going to buy them, and they're going to track them to try getting that guy. Well, guess what? Those guns, it's called the black market. Like people have realized, like Chicago has the most gun laws, but guess what? There's a black market where you can easily buy stuff. Like it's not that hard.
Right.
If the cartel are able to do it, anybody else that has money, they can get those guns.
Right. So let me ask you this, Brody. So when you looking at the different killings of black men in America that happen, what takes the cake on some of these that, like, let's take the ones that didn't have threats, you know what I'm saying, like the recent ones been going on. Let's take it to when they, you know, the first couple ones like Eric Garner.
Like the ones that had like excessive force for no reason.
Right.
Okay. So like with those, that's where I come into is like, okay, why? Like, why did that cop do that? Did the cop know the guy? Did the cop have like some vengeance? And like, what's going through the cop's mind? I'm trying to like be in the cop's shoes and be like, all right, why did I do that? Like, what was the starting point? What was the end point? Like, I got to get as much information so I can kind of get a mindset of what that cop's head's going through. It's just like me in scenarios in the military. Like, all right, what scenario was my guy in where he got in trouble? So I take it piece by piece. Like sometimes, like I don't like it because just how the media plays off of it, and I see everybody's emotions, and everybody goes hard, and then next thing you know, I'm labeled as a white boy again, and not Josh, and then I get the white privilege, and I'm just trying to like make 2 cents of some of these situations, and I should shut up because I'm not different color skin, right. But I like to try like seeing like let's look at a different perspective of some things. So like I always take a step back and like, is the cop wrong? Is the guy wrong? And like I can't really judge off of those. Like those ones that are like there's no justification for the cop's actions. It's like, hey, like that comes wrong. That's right. A bad apple.
That is true. We got a comment for you. I get that. Okay, Josh, you know some shit, man. Let them know. Brian, Brandon, Archibald, Cousins said good shit. We got another comment.
So it's like okay, go ahead.
Oh, we got another comment. Eric Gardner, NYPD. We know they worse than the Bloods and the Crips. Laugh out loud. Yeah, it's true. That's true.
I mean, I can call my buddy right now. He's from New York and he's recruiting out there in the Marine Corps, and he'll tell you the same thing. He hates NYPD, but I mean, my cousin's a cop up there, so I mean, I give respect to him. Like he tries to do a good job. But I mean, hey, it's a different ballgame. So I'm not in those police officers' shoes, just learning from McDonald what he says and asking my buddies that are cops just to get their insight on it. But I mean, if it's not justified, it's not justified. Like I can obviously see that. I'm going to use common sense in this. I'm not going to sit there and that was fucked up. No, like excuse my language. I don't want your mom hitting on you or something. But yeah, I heard your podcast. But yeah, like I mean. A lot of times people need to like, all right, when the situation happens, just like in after action with me when I did a squad live fire with my guys, like I'm shooting live ammunition, my guys are shooting right by me. Like after we're done, we always sit down like, hey, let's talk about this. All right, what went wrong? What can we do better? Like we should be having those conversations with each other. Because if the cop did wrong, okay, well, who's gonna step and be a cop? Like out of your group of your friends, hey, who's gonna go be a cop and like make things better? Like, I do that in the military when I go up a rank or something like that. Hey, what can I do better? Like, I'll learn from that guy that's over me and know what's wrong and what he's doing wrong. And when I come up to his position, what can I do better to make our platoon better, our country better, or our communities better?
And that's definitely true. You know what I'm saying? The biggest thing is what's going to be the biggest thing to overcome what's going on. What's the biggest thing?
Like at what point do you sit there and ask somebody or tell somebody, hey, look in the mirror and ask yourself, what are you doing better? What are you doing better for your family, your community, your relationship? What are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
Because if I see people complain about these situations and what's going on, but it's like, all right, what are you doing? What are you doing to prevent that from happening? What is your friend doing to prevent that from happening?
And it's always going to be a touchy subject and a touchy situation, man. Doing this thing. We got another comment. Good cops get kicked out and bad cops stay in. That's true.
That's true.
A lot of cops do get kicked out. Prime example, McDonald and everything like that. He just for the fact that he got kicked out for what he believed was right. You know what I'm saying? Wasn't fair to him. Why did he lose his job?
For doing a good job.
Yeah.
It's the same for the military. Why are the guys that hate, like, that don't do their job well, they get rewarded and everything? The people that do their job get screwed.
Right. And it's just not fair for them to just have to continue to deal with the fact that, they have to be labeled and they have to be necessarily under the radar, but you don't place these cats that need to be placed under the radar at, at any given moment. You know what I'm saying? Just like one of the things I saw on IG as well, to reform a cop, insure him. You know what I'm saying? Give him that first warning and tell him, if you in the wrong of this, then you losing your license. You know what I'm saying? You losing that money that you need to feed your kids and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? Is my life worth taking over feeding the mouths of your kids and your family? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the option and what's the truth of the matter in your eyes do you believe is right in this situation right now? Now, people be like, okay, so what if a cop's not married or don't have kids and he's single? Okay, cool, that's fine. But let's put this in perspective too. You can insure him as well too. The thing about it is, if he's in the wrong, a justification of what he's done, he lost out on the job right then and there, and that's a government job. You know what I'm saying?
So when you point out, like, when people point out, like, oh, blue lives don't matter, like, you volunteered for that job, that's saying the same for us. Like, if something bad happens to us, like, okay, like, we volunteered for this, so you're going to say the same thing for us, like, our lives don't matter? So, like, everybody can create a hypocrite out of it. So, like, for example, like, when the George Floyd thing started escalating, I just got here to El Paso, and my wife just got here, and I went to go to a restaurant to go grab breakfast for us. And when I was waiting for the food, a few of the officers walked in, and some guy walked out and made a smart aleck comment. It was like, "Oh, you're here to come and get donuts?" Like, just being an a-hole. So I was like, right. Yeah, like, that's the retaliation we get, even if that guy was a good cop. Like, now you're just going to make him a bad cop because now, like, he knows he has no support from anybody.
Right. And, for ladies and gentlemen that may have just tuned in, we're not going to be on too much long. We've been on for hours. Don't want to keep taking up too much time, my boy's time and everything like that.
Nah, you're fine.
I know for a fact that, we're going to continue to bring forth this conversation and keep going, you know what I'm saying, later on in the next month of September. I feel the need that, bring my boy Josh back on here and, just giving the insight and giving it from a different perspective for y'all people to understand and listen that it's not everybody. You know what I'm saying? And no, like we said, we don't support all lives matter. We don't support the all blue lives matter bullshit and whatnot. We don't even, I'm gonna be real with you, even with the Black Lives Matter joint, the organization is so iffy in my opinion because they stop 1 minute and disappear and you don't hear shit else from them. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, look at it now. They've kind of gotten pretty quiet before this whole Wisconsin thing spurred up. Like, before that, like, after that, like, you weren't really hearing much about it.
Right. And I feel the need, like you said, they need to take action towards, what's going on in Chicago. They need to take action about the kids that's being killed, even with the women that's being, shot as well too. And, I'm gonna be real with the people that's listening, and for my future viewers that listen all the way through as well too. Megan Thee Stallion was not a snitch. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna be real. I don't like her music. She's not my type. I don't have nothing against black women. I love black women to the death of me. Trust me, I do. But just her, she's just not my type. We'll be respectful of that. She's just not my type. And that's just my opinion. You know what I'm saying? She's not ugly. She's just not my type. But in all seriousness, she did not deserve to be shot. We don't know the true story of what's going on because Tory Lanez has not popped up to give his side of perspective. But at the same time, I'm gonna be real, he's a bitch for shooting her. You know what I'm saying? Even if a woman is putting her hands on you from what the story is saying, don't give you the right to shoot a dog. Come on now. If you need to leave the whole situation, bro, leave the situation, bro. You know what I'm saying? If she been abusing you, bro, then speak out on it, brother. Okay? Like, come on now. You better than this. You want the top, artist right now that's hot out right now. And right now you just made a bad name for yourself. And I'm be real with you, we not holding him accountable like we did with Chris Brown and everything like that. But that's a whole nother subject we can get into later on. But the thing is,
yeah, you get it with somebody else. And yeah. I don't listen to them that much.
But anyway,
I'm very picky with music.
But anyway, it's protecting the people that's out here. You know what I'm saying? Definitely protect the young kings, young queens as well. Definitely protect the queens because they go a long way in this world as well. But also we need to protect. Go ahead.
And that's why so the whole kings and queens, I make fun of that sometimes just because I understand that they you want to create a high standard for each other. So I look at it this way, if Africa was a bunch of kings and queens and there's still kings that still run the countries nowadays and everything like that. So live up to those expectations. So if you live up to those expectations, stop doing the nonsense that still happens in the continent. So for example, you were talking about that the family was selling their own people, a rival people. So that's the same mindset. Okay, if you take me, I'm going to take you.
Right.
So if you don't break that chain, how much are you going to be kings and queens then before you become servants to another?
Right.
So I enjoy hearing that mentality, but you have to act that mentality.
Exactly. Follow through with that mentality.
Kings and queens, if you you look at any king or queen throughout history, if you run off emotion, what was the outcome of that? More violence. So when the kings and queens were professional about it, there was no more violence.
Right.
You can have peace.
Amen, my brother.
And I could be wrong, but looking at history and everything like that, you can look at the English and French War. You can look at the English and Spanish War. You can look at the American Revolutionary War. Violence is going to be key if violence is violence.
Amen.
Are you going to be are you going to run like a Martin Luther King, or are you going to run like a Malcolm X?
That is
true. You can
true.
do both, but you have to be smart about it.
Because even I had a comment on Facebook when I was talking to somebody about the whole situation about people starting to fire back. When you put into the whole claim of firing back at these cops, it's going to bring the government more firepower to write out and accept to drop heavy firepower in these communities, and it's going to even escalate even worse, and it's going to turn south. I'm going to tell you that right now. I understand, people's frustration, anger, and they want to, they want justice for what's going on and everything. But if we start firing back, and I know everybody's tired of hearing that, or they're tired of the peaceful protests, but if you start firing back, how long does it take for somebody in the higher ups to sit there and be like, hey, they firing back. Now we got cops, dying in the streets. What are we going to do about it?
Well, and also, we have to keep I keep trying to tell people, to keep their emotions in check, because when the George Floyd thing came out, and I made a few jokes about where the whole Colin Kaepernick didn't get signed by the rioters or something. I thought that was funny. Yeah, the whole Colin Kaepernick thing, the whole different discussion. I understand what the guy was going for. I didn't really care. He wasn't my quarterback. Not my problem. I didn't really care about it. But it's more of when the George Floyd thing out, and I started getting messages from people saying, "Hey, people are looking at you differently now. They're kind of messed up that you were saying this kind of stuff." It was my perspective on how I see the situation. I'm not sitting here personally attacking you, because I have people apparently from high school that, I mean, nobody wants to message me personally, but people want to freaking sit there and say that, oh, I'm a racist. Oh, like I completely changed from high school. Well, everybody's going to change.
Right.
Like people go through life situations and life scenarios
right.
that are going to change. Like being in the military, when you go to a third world country where people were barely wearing clothes and like the roads are crappy, like when you start experiencing that, you're like, okay, it could always be worse.
Right. That is
the situations that are people in, like if you're not in that situation, it could be worse. You could be in that situation.
That is true.
But always think that.
And you know, here's the thing for people out there that don't understand the terms of being a racist. And you know, now that I started to think about it, we can't continue to call people racist just for the fact of their opinion, but we have to call them. You can only call. I feel like you should call them racist off their intelligence, off their ignorance. Racist.
Well, because go off the definition. Don't go off of what you think it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, to me, because if you look at the definition of racist, it's ignorance and hatred towards another race. That's racist. Exactly. You know what I'm saying? And I feel, because I had a conversation with somebody before, and you know, and it was like, I was like, Muslim, or they was like, I was like, that person's Muslim or Arab or something like that. They was like, oh, that's racist. I was like, I don't see me being racist, but I'm calling out, you know what I'm saying, what they look like to me. I'm not being.
But you're profiling. Like that's what everybody does. Like I don't get why people are like, oh, you're racial profiling. I was like, well, of course. Like I am profiling you to understand who you are.
Like, who you are. You know what I'm saying? Because
like you go to a date and you see the girl and how she dresses and everything like that. You are profiling. It's no different than judging. Like you're judging each other based off of like what you're seeing and off of what you're hearing. Like if I see a dude sag, I'm like, okay, is he gay or straight? Because I'm confused.
Right. You know what I'm saying? And like even with that community, I didn't mean to cut you off. Even with that community, it's like it's not we not being bashful towards y'all when we say the words. You know what I'm saying? That word. It's the fact y'all want that word, so we just using it in the correct term that y'all want us to use it in. You know what I'm saying? We not being bashful. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So like for example, like me, I hate the N-word. Like either the A or the ER. Like I hate it. Like I feel like that's discriminating to everybody. So when I hear it, I'm like, okay, like I don't like to hear that. Like people that know me well, like they don't say it around me because they know I can't stand it.
Right.
So like when I hear other people say it to each other, I'm like, why? Like that just sounds so bad.
Right. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Like, yeah, I understand. It's like, hey, it's like more of a cultural thing now, but it's just more of like, all right, so how are we going to better ourselves? Because if we keep calling each other bad words, even though we just changed the letters a bit,
right?
What do we actually change?
And the thing about it is, people are not satisfied at all when it comes to this, because like once one change is made, it's still not good enough. So it's like we have to keep making changes, and then at the end of the day, no one's gonna be satisfied, because once you change one way, one person's like, man, I liked it better that way. One person like, I still don't like it this way. You know what I'm saying? It don't make no sense.
So like I had to personally change just based off like what I was experiencing from different cultures and different countries, and also like because I was far conservative. I would argue with Jamal Adams all the time about like when the Michael Brown case came up, or like Maryland freaking burned to the ground. Like I was completely debating. I look back at that, I was like, I never crossed that line. Like people need to have these conversations that are uncomfortable, but like you need to have these conversations where you don't cross that line. Like me and you can have a complete different debate and we can totally disagree with each other, but in the end of the day, as long as we don't cross that line, I don't lose respect for you. Maybe I'll be like, hey, Malachi's an idiot for that situation, but hey, like that's his opinion, that's his thought process, this is how he sees it. And I did the same thing with Jamal or anybody else. I don't ever lose respect for somebody until they start disrespecting me. Once you disrespect me, that's where it's like, all right, you cross that line, I'm done with you.
Amen. You know what I'm saying?
And I will never, and like, you can't take things personally. When I say something to a complete stranger, like somebody of your friend or something like that, you can't take it personally, because what do I know about you?
Right. Like I try to explain when I was saying to the person, I was like, I'm not a racist and nothing like that. And she was like, oh no, I was just joking. I was like, I understand you joking. Trust me, I'm a comedian. I know one person joking, but I done learned that try to educate people so they understand the definition of what's behind the term of being called a racist and all that type of stuff like that. Now people don't understand when people trying to educate you, we're not being vulgar towards you. We not trying to feel like we better than you or we higher than you. We just feel the need that, you know, we want you to understand, you know what I'm saying, behind the situation. You know what I'm saying? But if you get offended because I'm trying to educate you, that goes to show you your mentality and your maturity. You know what I'm saying? So don't get upset and offended when somebody's trying to educate you, or if you don't know me and I'm trying to teach you about me, you know what I'm saying, to a new stranger, don't get offended. Don't get upset. We just trying to, you know what I'm saying, just like you trying to teach me about you, I'm trying to teach you about myself as well too. So the thing about it is you staying educated. I mean, are you going to have the mature mindset to hear me out? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So like, I mean, you have to have an open mind. You can't have that tunnel vision. Once you have that tunnel vision,
right, and
you don't listen to anybody else, and that's where you create this tribalism where, hey, I'm going to stick with people that I think alike. No, like that's not going to help the situation, because if we do that, nobody's going to challenge thought. Nobody's going to challenge, like we can't challenge each other in like this situation. So in the end, we get nowhere.
That's true. Let's go to these comments real quick. Unity is our best bet. To be honest, convos like this between backgrounds and different people will get us further than segregation, etc. True. Talking about he's small, laugh out loud. I know you because you first of all, I'm not 5'3", so fuck you. I'm actually short. First of all, fuck you, because you over 6 foot, all right? I'm still technically close to it. I'm 5'8", 5'9" on a good day, okay? So fuck you, all right? Just because you was tall, you know what? That's why I jumped on your back during football season, during that game, so I can get that tackle. True definition of a monkey on your back. Another comment is, I'm not going to lie, I was one on those with Josh. We had a situation in high school, but listen to you talk on this podcast, bro. You know a lot, for real, put me on game. We got another comment. They changed the definition of it. Yeah, the whole racist thing. True. And we got another comment of, yeah, I bet it was funny. Yeah. You know what? When I see you back in the streets, I want my ones. Over here talking about my height. First of all, got my legs swinging from this booster seat, too. You know what? I shouldn't have told y'all that. Y'all terrible, like, man.
And like to go off that comment about like the just me knowing stuff, it's not really knowing, it's just experiencing. So like and that's where I like when I hear everybody, I'm not going to say a whole lot about him because I don't want to get in trouble. But like with the president and everything like that, when people have their focus so highly on him and being so angry and stuff like that, I mean, I don't even listen to this guy's speeches and stuff. I don't follow a lot of this stuff. I just see what people post, and I'm just like, you know what? Like there's bigger things out there than this.
Right. Even when he was my boss, I ain't give a fuck what he said.
Like, I mean, like,
I don't care.
I mean, I can go down that road, like with Obama being under him and being under Trump. Like, it still sucks. Like, government shutdowns suck. And like when people don't have that respect for experience, like when people talk about the military, I was like, okay, what do you have for experience in the military? Like when people that never join or like don't serve in some shape or form, being a firefighter, be a EMS, be a police officer, or be in the military, when you hear people have their expertise on it or their opinion, okay, I'll listen to your opinion, but let me tell you how it actually is. And if you still don't believe me, you still don't understand, then you're just being ignorant to it because it's somebody that's actually in and actually experiencing it. Like, that's why, like, when I bring the military with the police force, it's, you experience as well. Let's de-escalate the situation because we don't want to escalate. So we escalate the situation, somebody gets hurt.
Right. So let me ask you this, you know what I'm saying? And I feel, you probably might have a great intake on this. So in Miller County in Texas, a Caucasian man was charged with rape, sexual assault involving a child. He was detained and he was put in jail, but he wasn't shot like the dude that was shot shot the other day. You know what I'm saying? So almost in the same kind of category, in the same, you know what I'm saying, as crimes, which you still put that in there, but it involved kids. You know what I'm saying? And this was August 25th.
So like for like there's what we've been talking about, good cop, bad cop. Like McDonald being that good cop, doing what he did right. Mm-hmm. It doesn't matter if he was a white or black one because the media is just going to throw that out there to stir up the pot. Obviously, right. I mean, I do the same thing. I enjoy the conversation, but when you look at that, it's like, okay, that could have been a good cop. That good cop did what he was supposed to do,
and who knows what color the cop was that did it. It don't matter. It shouldn't matter. The color shouldn't matter.
Right.
So, but then when you look at the other scenario where a guy, bag of weed and shit, well, guess what? Like, that is your justice system. That is how they play the game with drugs. Like, now, I mean, like, you got to look at your state and what they have to law.
True. Now, listen to this. A part of that was going on, too. He's currently out of jail on a $100,000 bond. He was arrested July 13th and released again July 16th. And he's scheduled to appear in court September 15th before the circuit judge, Kirk Johnson. If found guilty, he will face up to 5 to 20 years and fine $15,000. If convicted of the rape, he will face 10 to 40 years or life in prison. So let me ask you this, you know what I'm saying? And you know me, I'm keeping an open mind and keeping, you know what I'm saying, my emotions out of it. You know, I always do.
Yeah.
Why is it that he was charged like this and detained like this and now have the opportunity to appear in court September 15th, but Jacob Blake was not able to do that?
And that's where I look at, you got to look at the judge, the jury, the execution of it, because like just me escorting a soldier to court and then they switched the judge on him and the judge completely had a different mindset of him and what he was reading, like that changes everything. So, I mean, it could be the judge, it could be the Justice Department. Like, that's why, let's look at, like, example, like Maryland. Maryland's always a good example to me. When Maryland burned to the ground because of, I think it was Michael Brown or Kayvon Martin. Don't remember which shooting that was. I think it was Michael Brown.
Yeah, that was Michael. Yeah, it was Michael Brown. Yes. Michael
okay.
Brown.
So,
yes.
So when Baltimore went up in flames and everything like that, who is the head of the Justice Department? Who is the mayor? Like, you got to look at, like, that's why you look at higher up. Like, when people blame Trump for everything that's going on, all right, let's look down the line. Who are you blaming down to your level? Because at the highest level, just like a general in the military, it's going to be rarely I'll ever have a conversation with that person. Ever. He's the one making the decisions. And then when you bring it down to, let's say, your first sergeant or like your mayor, that is your level. What are they doing? That person that is the head of your county, what are they doing?
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's true. And it wasn't Michael Brown. I just researched to make sure, double check my my sources.
Was it Kayvon Martin?
No, it was Michael Brown. And it was in Ferguson, Missouri, involved in the protest and riot. It began, and then it led on every other place. So
yeah, you look at your local level and what did they do? Like,
okay, hold on. It was okay. So if y'all talking about the Baltimore fires, it was Freddie Gray. Okay, my apologies.
Freddie Gray.
Michael Brown was Ferguson, Missouri. Okay, we getting our facts straight. With a lot of deaths going on, it is tough to keep up with a lot of this. I'm gonna be real with you. It's tough to keep up with everything that's going on because it's so many numbers that's happening over and over and over again. So you don't know.
And we're just gonna continue and that's where, like, okay, like, yes, I understand the shooting happened and the whole media attention is focused on that. But in the end, like, all right, I understand that's a problem, but that is one problem that the whole nation's looking at versus many others, maybe in your own backyard. Like, we get so tunnel vision into what's going on in the media. Like, I hardly watch the news. Like, I only see what you guys are posting. Like, I actually had to watch the video of the shooting in Wisconsin because I didn't really get my take on that or even watch it.
Right.
But just looking at it, okay, like, I got a short clip. I'm not going to get too far into it. I'll wait until more of it comes out. Because if I look too far into it, I'm going to lose focus on the bigger pictures.
That is true, and I feel the need that that a lot of people should start to do that. You know what I'm saying? Before things happen, start to look down, start to wait till the whole entire truth comes out to make a based on decision. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the media, they should stop trying to post everything piece by piece. If you're gonna post something about that happened, put out the whole entire truth for people to see. So we not going back and forth with people like, oh, well, did you see this? No, it shouldn't matter and this and that. You know what I'm saying? That's why I told your brother, I said, let me watch the other video and make a judgment off of that. And still, you know what I'm saying, regardless, he should not have been shot 7 times in the back. He should have just been tased until they can, you know what I'm saying, get other police force there. At the same time, when you're dealing with a warrant, I believe you should at least have 5 cops dealing with somebody that you got a warrant for. That's in my opinion. Deal with at least
find ways to de-escalate the situation before it escalates to that.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Put more, like, don't put like excessive forces out there just to catch one person unless it's something truly big, like this man, like, you know, serial killer and stuff like that. But for a sex offender and for domestic violence, at least put at least 4 cops out there to help detain him and arrest him. That's
man, go tackle his butt. Like,
exactly. Like, honestly,
like freaking football or something. Like, I've seen some videos where cops freaking like spear him. I'm like, I mean, I'd rather have that than freaking tased or shot.
Exactly. And I feel the need, like, why didn't y'all push the door into him or something? His legs were still out. Why didn't y'all push the door into him? You know what I'm saying? Like, when I watched the video that the young lady tagged us in, the cops ran him over with the car. You know what I'm saying? They ain't like, you know, go full throttle, like, oh, I'm gonna kill him. They went full throttle for him to get knocked down on the ground. You know what I'm saying? And then he ended up dropping a knife because he was surrounded. You know what I'm saying? Because he was on the ground. What else can I do? Like, that's how I feel. And then next, you know, you got everybody like jumping on him. Like, is what's that one game of football we used to play back in the day where everybody used to go tackle you? But you know what I mean?
Dog pile.
Yeah, dog pile. You know what I'm saying? And then we got another cop. Tables work 40% of the time, and then backup takes time to get there. Yeah, I mean, if you got more than one taser, use it on the man if you need to. You know what I'm saying? And then, detain this fool and put him in the back of the police car. So now you causing an uprise by taking the gun out on your first suggestion and just popping 5 or 6 caps in them. So, yeah. But, ladies and gentlemen, I'm gonna take a break because I was supposed to take a damn break this whole entire day, but I felt I needed to talk about this and I needed to help get what was going on out there. And I know my man Josh, appreciate you again coming on to the show and giving this insight and intake, from your perspective, you know what I'm saying, and your background on what's going on.
Yeah, appreciate having me, dude. I enjoy being on here and actually getting the word out and like trying to get people to open their minds and take a step back and just look at situations before they act on it.
Right. And we hoping that, we can spread the word here and then it can get more and more out there. So ladies and gentlemen, if you listening, definitely share my podcast, Crown the Fox. It's on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And keep sharing it. Keep sharing this episode. Get it out there. Get it out there. I want people to understand, and I appreciate the comments, people that was engaged, saying great comments and everything, good stuff. I appreciate y'all for listening, and I appreciate y'all supporting us at the same time, too. I'm going to be on later on IG Live talking to my man Nix on further situations and a couple other topics as well, too. So, hey, Josh, definitely have you. I'm gonna keep you on the show next month in September. I think September is next month.
All right, man. Sounds good, bro.
Yeah, and we'll do it like that. So good to have you, boy.
All right, man.
All right, love you, man.
Love you, though.
So like I said, ladies and gentlemen, definitely appreciate y'all and definitely thank y'all for tuning into the show, because this right here, we gotta spread the word. We gotta get everything out there. We gotta have, you know what I'm saying, everybody understand what's going on, and we just gotta make things better, man. We gotta come together and make things better. You know who it is. I'm your host with the most, like as always, and I'm gonna do the outro for you. I ain't get a chance to do the intro. This is the Fox Baby. The Fox Baby. I'm out. Before I go, I'm meant to tell y'all, I know y'all probably done exit out. Remember, this is brought to you by Banana Man Clothing Line. BananaManClothing.com/The Fox. You know who the boy is. Hey, I'm trying to get represented by Crown Royal. So if y'all know anybody that works out in Crown Royal, tell them to send me out some free crown or something, man. Let me get sponsored by y'all as well, too. I'm out again.